Game Day.
What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Another disappointing loss for the Chiefs. Got Caleb, Quentin, myself. What's up, guys?
I'll let you guys take the mantle, and I'll jump in here afterwards. So you guys just take it away.
Look, man, I'm going to say, first of all, like we've told other teams, don't go down 14-0 in the first half and expect to come back and win every game. Second week in a row, we've been down 14-0. But our defense, we lost a couple of players again, and which I knew was coming. We talked about this. From week 5 on, the defense is going to get gassed, and they're gassed. They did a good job of holding Josh Allen to really no points, but look, man, I think this is a testament that Caleb, I'm going to give you 100% props on every bit of this.
I mean, I don't want to be right, but I mean,
it's true. I mean, Veach fucked up. It's that simple. He fucked up. He really did. This was not the season to go cheap in the wide receiver room. You don't do it in any season, and quit the fucking turnover. This isn't a car dealership. It takes time to learn this offense. It doesn't happen in a year. You're very lucky that you got somebody like Rashee Rice that is now going to pass everybody in Reed's rookie wide receiver group for most yards and most touchdowns in the season. No, there's no doubt in my mind he's going to pass that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't blame Mahomes one bit for losing his fucking mind on the refs. I don't blame him. This is too many weeks in a row. This is – what's up, brother? You're in the UK. You're at morning time there for you. We got Arrowhead News and Rumors. We got everybody in here. The Kadarius Toney call was ticky-tack, in my opinion. Yeah, are you technically not supposed to have your toe on the line of scrimmage? Probably not. How many times does anybody else in the league get away with that?
I have never seen that call before at all.
That's because you know why? You know why that call doesn't get made?
Because receivers don't
line up in the neutral zone. Because every wide receiver since Pee Wee does one of these. They look over, they go like that, and they're checking with the ref to make sure they're not on the line. Are you freaking kidding me right now, dude? You couldn't do? It takes half a second. Like, we good, bro? That's it.
Well, I got to hear the press conference because
sometimes what will happen. Sometimes what will happen is the wide receiver will check with the ref, and that they'll be there. They'll be like kind of close to the line, but the ref will be like, "You're fine. You checked with me, right?" But obviously he didn't do it. So
yeah, then you got refs helping.
It's a flag. They got to throw the flag. So
that's good.
That's
but then you got
Toney. I'm not blaming the refs for that.
But okay, and that's fine. But then you got a ref that's helping a Buffalo player put his fucking helmet back on so he doesn't get a flag.
I mean, look, I think the reason that a lot of these close calls are getting very frustrating for Chiefs fans is because these games are coming down to the wire because the offense keeps getting
they can't do anything.
They just keep turning their wheels and not doing anything.
Again,
so when you get a holding penalty or a false start penalty or a lining up in the neutral zone penalty, everything gets amplified because you just feel like this offense is so hard to do anything. It's so difficult. In years past, when Kansas City has been moving the ball, it's been easy, right? Like, quote, easy, right? As easy as NFL football does, right? The offense was efficient. It's like, oh, there's an incomplete pass and it's 2nd and 10, and you just feel like, man, are we going to be able to get that first down? I mean, it feels like we're running the Army offense out here, where you just got to stay on schedule over and over and over again. And if you're stuck in a 3rd and long, or you're, 3rd and 15, 2nd and 12, whatever it is, you just feel like that this is the drive's going to die. And we saw that all throughout the game. The first, 4 drives, I believe. It was interception, punt, right? There was There was no sustained offense the entire first half. Now, we got Patrick Mahomes, ran that 2-minute drill. And I keep saying this when I'm watching the games with my family. I'm like, you know what Kansas City needs to do? And Mitchell Schwartz has talked about this a couple of times. He says that when the
I know what you're going to say, and 100% agree
when the
with you.
offense is spinning its wheels, you need to run a hurry-up offense. And Mitchell Schwartz's point is that when you practice an Andy Reid system every week, you practice like a dozen plays for a hurry-up offense every week. And so those plays that you practice are easy. They're pretty vanilla in terms of the kind of offense you're going to run, but you practice them over and over and over again. So when your team is stuck in the mud, is frustrated, is we just need to get something going, run that no huddle offense. Just get some pace going, get that rhythm, because this team right now just has no rhythm in running its offense, and it just feels hard. And you have Patrick Mahomes, it shouldn't be hard, right? The Vikings and the Raiders were tied 0-0 with 2 minutes left in the game. That's two hard offenses to run because you've got Josh Dobbs and Aiden O'Connell, right? You have Patrick Mahomes. The offense should not be hard. Figure it out. I'm sorry.
I agree with you. The only problem that I have with that is that those two offenses are a lot less complex than ours. But in the same aspect, I agree with what you're saying.
But Mitchell Schwartz talked about how those plays that you run in the no huddle offense, they're in practice every single week. That it's a standard in the Andy Reid weekly schedule. Is you end the week with a no huddle offense. So everybody should know those plays because you're constantly running them.
Well, I think
I agree with that. Go ahead, Caleb.
No, I'm just saying, I think the problem we have just goes back to, again, the wide receiver room. I mean, we talk about it every single week, but it's like because they didn't invest, you can't expect Mahomes to do everything. That's why Aaron Rodgers became stagnant in his career after winning the Super Bowl for like 4 or 5 years, because they did not invest and put proper money and resources into certain areas. And it caused them to struggle. And I'm sorry, we like Brett Veach. He's done great, 2 Super Bowls. That's a lot than what most teams can ever see in their lifetime. But here's the problem, it's this. They are failing Mahomes right now in the AFC, where you should be able to walk through for the most part and do what you're supposed to do. They're being messed over because wide receivers can't catch the ball, and then the officiating is not the best. And then on top of that, the defense can only do so much. Again, this week they gave it, 20 points. Another great week. But the offense has really 2 or 3 drives in the second half where they really spun out, where they could go up by 10 or could take up the lead in many games, and they lose. So, I mean, I'm not surprised Mahomes got mad at the official because some of the calls were pretty bad. He did something I believe Andy Reid should have done about 6-7 years ago and come out of his shell and go after officials, because I'm not advocating for beating up people, but you need to let them know you're here.
I thought Mahomes was going to take his helmet and
they had to hold him back. They had to hold him back. And
I wouldn't have blamed
I don't know what's going to be said in the press conference, but here's the thing. Mahomes is a competitor. I don't care if it was Aaron Rodgers or Lamar Jackson that did that. They are competitors. They are allowed to have some emotion. Now, no one's saying they're going to go attack anyone, which they look like that was going to happen. But this is the point here. Officials, for the 97 million thousandth time I've said this on this show, need to have mandatory press conferences after the game. On that 4th and 15 or that 3rd and 15, Von Miller was offside. They didn't call it. So again, why are officials having these mandatory press conferences? It makes 0 sense anymore.
And late in the game,
it's extremely frustrating. I mean, at this point, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I'm saying at this point, I believe the NFL is all about making money and controversy. It's not about the love of the game that they like to talk about with the little kids and everything. NFL plays 60. It's about controversy. They're a business. They want to make money. So if this drums up some issues, they're going to talk about it. Now, again, I don't know how this can be fixed because your officials aren't doing great. You let guys like Charles Schaefer continue to go out there. You had Jeff Triplett 6-7 years ago. You have all these terrible officiating crews. And they still continue to do the same stuff over and over and over and over again. The NFLPA is not fighting for the players. The officials basically get blocked out where they don't have to deal with nothing. If a receiver drops a ball, they have to answer all these questions. Why can't the officials? That's a great question. They should have to have press conferences.
Yeah,
there was another penalty, by the way, Caleb, on that play.
A pool reporter, where after the game, one reporter goes behind a closed door and it's not good, and they just
it's crap.
It's a joke.
it
Because
is a joke.
Even if you get it and you get an answer, it's some coach speak answer.
Yeah. No, I need to see what they look like.
It's stupid.
If they're going to put Mahomes after the Super Bowl or Cam Newton or Aaron Rodgers after they lose a big game, and I have to see the reaction, I definitely need to see an official, because what we're going to see now is that I can see some pushback from players if the NFLPA does not step in, and the only way they're going to be able to fix this problem is if they allow maybe an extra timeout with an extra challenge of plays, penalties, or show that there have been a penalty. But the issue was this: on every single play, there's going to be a stoppage. So there's only one fix is this. Two. Officials need to be monitored. We have to have like a 360 cam. And number two, they have to have mandatory live press conferences.
I think
they want to be part of the game. They want to be at this highest
level.
They want to be at this highest level. They just have to be under scrutiny the same as the players, because they can change entire outlooks.
Louis Riddick put it out last week after our game. It wasn't anybody else's game, and it's weird that national reporters are actually posting about our games versus everybody else's when it comes to officiating.
It just makes no sense.
But this is what he said. He said, how do we fix this problem? How do we fix these bad calls? There's only I answered him back. Number one, do what you used to do and have full-time refs. Pay them to be responsible enough to fucking fine them.
Well, and
then make them answer the. Not only that, you have a room. There's this fucking room that's bigger than my house, sitting in New York right now.
Yeah,
that can hold 100 fucking guys. Put 20 guys in that room that watch, play frame by frame. And when this shit happens, fucking review it.
And here's the frustrating part about that. They have that. They already have that. They just
can't.
You know how many guys they have? They're not allowed to have that back and forth communication.
No, you need to have that at this point. No.
The NFL already has the capability of what I've been calling the sky judge. They already have that.
They used to do that.
He's not in Arrowhead or in Lambeau or whatever. No,
they used to have it though. They used to have it in New York. They had 20 guys.
Exactly. And they aren't allowed to. They aren't allowed to communicate back and forth as much as they should be able to. So I think
they used to. And why is it that they can do it during the fucking playoffs, but they can't do it during the year?
But again, here's the point though. I'm trying to make, and I don't know if you guys agree with me with this, but the NFL is what, about a $10-12 billion industry, maybe more. Would you guys agree with that?
So let's a sideways 8. That's what it is.
Okay, let's say $8 billion industry. They have money to do what you guys are talking about that they used to do. Again, I believe they're only wanting to just make money, and that's all they want to do. And they don't care about this controversy.
Philip just put in an Andy Reid quote. I don't know if you want to put up his comment about that. That he says that Andy Reid said it's a bit embarrassing for National Football League for a place for that to take place. Okay. So good for Andy. I'm sure he'll get
my Thank you, Andy.
Andy needs to yell and scream and fuss and let it all out.
Andy Reid has more power than I think he knows he does, or he just doesn't want to
use it.
Which I understand it.
That's Andy.
Why?
There's some politics to play with it. I get it. But I want to talk about there's another thing. I want to get off the refs. We all know that the situation has been horrible.
I want to say one thing.
Okay, I want to say one thing and I want to move on because I have something else I want to talk about.
It's not a matter. It is politics to a degree, and here's why. If you guys remember when Andy finally did go off in the press conference, I don't know, what was it, week 4? I don't remember what week it was. It was early in the season when Andy finally had enough, and he said something in the press conference, and the next week, the calls got worse. And then the week after that, the calls got, I know what it was. I remember. I'm sorry. It was week 5 when they had already went after Taylor, one after another, and targeting him for being offsides when he had his foot step back. And then that's when Andy brought in and actually lined another player up in the exact same position.
Yeah.
And then he brought the fucking film and he goes, okay, tell me where the disconnect is right here. Why is it that Taylor can't do it, but this man can, and he's on the same fucking football team?
He called him on it.
After that, It's been the same shit week after week, and it's gotten worse and worse. And we get fucking hosed. I don't give a flying fuck if it's a close game or not a close game. You have to monitor these calls because it fucks somebody every time. Who gives a shit if the Bills are fucking 500? I don't care if the Bills are 500. I could give a flying fuck.
Call, regardless.
The NFL is the only one that cares that the Bills are 500, and the only reason they care is because the Bills were supposed to be that team. High market fucking Super Bowl contenders, and they ain't been dick for the last 3 years. That's why it's all bullshit. It needs to end. Closer games like that need to be monitored even more, especially later in the season, because that's what cost teams fucking playoff berths. That's what cost them playoff games. But no, why would they do that for us? They do it for other teams. You got a fucking ref that helped a Buffalo Bills player put his helmet back on so he wouldn't get fined. What the fuck was that about? But yet, the kid that down in Miami that was a sideline photographer, his dream job, decides to help out Tyreek with that and gets fucking fired. It's bullshit, dude. It's bullshit.
Politics. It's politics. Go ahead, Quinn. What were you going to say?
I want to talk about Trinity's been putting in some good comments here, and
he really has.
So
sorry, bro. I didn't mean to ignore you. I'm just
no. That's fine. I just want to. He says that
no,
the
him.
Chiefs 2023 games. He's talking. Penalty, drop pass, penalty to Taylor Swift, drop pass, penalty. The one thing I want to throw in there too is turnovers. Turnovers have killed this team. There was that fumble. Killed a drive. That's
Rice.
That's the third or fourth time this year I feel like we've seen a drive later in the game that the Kansas City had a chance to take the lead, and Kansas City just needs to open up a restaurant called Butterfingers where all the receivers work at, because they're either dropping passes or they're dropping the ball after they caught it. I mean, hell, Travis Kelce technically fumbled the ball again today. Now he fell on it. And it didn't mean anything, but he got that ball.
Well, his knee was down
anyway,
so it really wasn't a
fumble. I
know,
but it's still a fumble. He still fumbled the football, okay? Kansas City had 2 fumbles today. One of them just so happened to fall back in one guy's lap, and the other one you lost. And we had Patrick Mahomes on the very first drive, throws an intercept. Like, these turnovers are killing them. It's like, how can this team – I feel like I don't know. It can't be a confidence thing because you're the Kansas City fucking Chiefs. But it just feels like that they're not in it, or they just literally cannot hold on to the football. I don't know if you guys have ever put on those gloves before. The gloves that wide receivers wear.
Yeah,
okay,
like
they are stickier than Elmer's glue. Okay, how the hell you drop anything while wearing those things? They're so sticky that they grab onto jerseys. That's where that hip drop tackle is coming into play, because defenders are wearing those gloves. They will grasp onto players' jerseys and drop their weight, and they will stick onto offensive players because the gloves are that sticky. So how you're not holding on to the football, I don't understand it. This has been a problem for everybody. Everybody that touches the football has had a problem with holding on to it. We lead the league in drops, and it blows my mind how this continues to be a problem. I thought that this was going to be something that maybe the turnovers specifically, I thought was going to be something that could be improved after the bye week, right? This is something you can sort of take your breath. At that point, you had the loss against the Lions, but you can move forward from it. But now it's just like, damn, it just keeps happening.
And this is the first time
shit. We're living in Groundhog's Day. It's the same thing.
It feels like 2021 all over again.
Well, here's the problem with this, though. This is the first time that Mahomes has lost back-to-back games.
He lost back-to-back games like 3 years ago, but this is the first time.
When?
He won. He didn't lose. He's lost back-to-back games a few times because they lost to Tennessee. This is not the first time that they've lost back-to-back games.
There's been a couple times.
I don't remember them losing back-to-back games like that.
It's few and far between.
Yeah, it's not the first time, but it is a rarity.
I'd have to see. I really don't remember that happening, but maybe it did. I don't know. I remember them going on a 4-game streak where they were like they lost one, they won one, they lost one, they won one, like that during the middle of the season. But I didn't know they lost back to back. The one thing I'll agree with you on, Quentin, I mean, going back to what you just said, as far as the drops are concerned, I get all that. That's a fucking huge problem. It is. There's no doubt about it. But in the same aspect, can we agree upon this, that somewhere in this coaching staff, whether it be the wide receiver coach that's new this year, or which, I mean, it would almost have to be, there's an issue. There's a disconnect. Because you have the same.
I say offensive coordinator is the issue.
Well,
it's too vanilla. We have to change some things.
It have to be on the one side because there's no problem on the defensive side.
I said offensive coordinator. Sorry, offensive coordinator.
I'm sorry.
I think it's Nagy's fault.
It may be. So it's one of the two, or both. But look, man, this is the same motherfucking team that we had last year, with the exception of Juju Smith, and we added Rashee Rice that basically has taken his job. I mean, you have to realize the kid he's basically tied now for the most touchdowns of any rookie wide receiver in Andy Reid's system ever. And he's a couple, 280 yards away from breaking the yardage record. The kid had 75 yards today, or close to that, and a touchdown. I don't understand how you can go from having the exact same wide receivers and being efficient last year, actually being more efficient without Tyreek Hill, and then you change your wide receiver coach, and then all of a sudden they don't understand how to play fucking football anymore.
Well, I think that MVS has just gotten worse.
Yeah,
like
I think MVS is frustrated.
Downgraded. I don't think Sky Moore has shown no
ability
to. It's so strange that every week I feel like we're watching the game. You know, Sky Moore the pass will be thrown in Sky Moore's area, and we get the color commentator, whoever it is, Tony Romo or whoever, and we'll get the little yellow line, and they'll draw it, and they'll be like, hey, you know, when this ball is thrown, Patrick Mahomes is expecting him to cut his route this way and to flatten it out this way. Or it'll be like he'll be running a fade, and it'll be like, hey, you know, Patrick Mahomes is probably expecting him to cut this fade out a little bit over the side. And so it's just like over and over again. It's like Sky Moore just can't figure out how to run routes in the NFL.
Can I add a point to your thing, guys?
Yeah, sure. Go, Caleb.
Have I been saying this? The Chiefs need to stop getting small route runner receivers and need to get some dogs. Have I been saying this for the last couple of years?
You have.
I am now on the Michael Pittman Jr. to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and somebody do something. We could have had George Pickens. We could have all these guys, but we got Sky Moore. Sky Moore only showed up one time, and that was in the Super Bowl. And granted, it was nice. We won the game. It is what it is, blah, blah, blah. But he has only shown up then. We have gotten guys throughout the years with Brett Veach have not really done much of anything. MVS, downgraded. Like JP said, that planes are waiting for him eventually. Sky Moore, what is going on? Cornell Powell, bro, can't even break onto the field. The only thing he's getting there is practice squad. And there's a couple guys there at least I can think about. Justin Watson wasn't really targeted today. Didn't see much Noah Gray.
When he was actually out on the field, he made a great catch.
And it makes zero sense.
On the field.
So this is why I believe Nagy is part of the problem. Now, will Andy fire him? No, because that's not what Andy's going to do. But a serious talk needs to happen. But I know, and I've watched enough Chiefs football to know this. Either two things are going to happen. Either the Chiefs are going to make a run to the AFC Championship game and lose, or they're going to lose first round of the playoffs. That's what's going to happen. I've seen too much Chiefs football to know this. Because the way this team is playing, it's not great. It's just not.
I'm going to push back on what you said. This is the absolute
worst year.
Okay. What did you go
ahead. It's Andy Reid's offense. So any problems we have with the offense have to go through Andy Reid first. So I know then we all need to be that because we can't just say Matt Nagy's the problem. This is Andy Reid's offense. So any problems we have with the offense also goes to Andy Reid. And that's what I'm going to say about that.
Well, let's say this. This is a big book. This is a big book. Let's say. I got one right here for you. This is the Andy Reid offense, book by Tony Judge. Very good. We're on like page 3, 4. We need to be on page like 572 to get some plays that can get some guys open. I'm serious. We're on page 3.
But let me ask you this.
And when you go to page 573, I mean, at this point, if Andy or Nagy, whoever it is, Something has to be figured out because at this point, if we're going to go through the same spurt year after year after year where, we're just running a vanilla-like offense to see what we can get done. No, forget the vanilla-like offense. You have Patrick freaking Mahomes. Let him call the plays. Let him run his plays. Let him do what he needs to do. He does not need to be held back by this stuff anymore.
There we go. Amir, you know what? Let's go with some positivity. Thank you,
Amir. That's why I put it up there. Here's something I will push back on.
I'm just telling you, I've seen enough. I've seen enough to know this can go one of two ways.
I'm going to push back on one thing real quick. And look, the Chiefs saved $13 million by cutting both MVS and more post June 1st. That's absolutely true. But here's the thing about
cutting more.
Well, here's the thing with MVS. This next contract or his next year is an option. It's a third-year option. He's not on a 3-year deal.
He's gone.
So he's gone. Actually, I'm sure his plane ticket's already bought. But here, I will push back on one thing that Quentin said. The way the offensive coordinators are paid and what's in their contract is what dictates what they call on the field. Now, the amount of calls that they get to call. We ran into this with Eric Bieniemy. Okay? They get an option of how many calls. In their contract, it'll say, okay, you're allotted, 12% of the calls a game, or you're allotted.
And this is why I don't
this amount of calls a game, and that's
I don't
in their
get those
contract.
Either they call the calls or they help assist. One of the two. You don't get no percentages of you call 12% this week or 8% next week. Either you call the calls or you help with the game plan. One of the two.
Exactly.
I don't get it anymore. I don't either. They have to stop
that's
that.
The problem.
That's the two options
that we have. That's the problem.
And that's
on
Andy.
Though.
That's on Andy.
Well, it's on
I'm here for all helping contracts. But sometimes you have to take the bull by the horns and do your thing. Andy, for the longest time, called plays. And I have to give my credit to Bieniemy when credit was due. Have there some up and downs? Yes. There have always been some up and downs. But when Andy took things over, for the most part, things ran smoothly. We need to continue with that. We cannot have the same stuff go over and over and over and over. I'm just tired of this each and every week. JP, we've been doing this show for how many years? What, 5 years?
Yeah.
JP, we talk about. I feel like we talk about the same stuff all the time because literally the offense is stagnant. Andy Reid's playbook. We need to go from literally page 5 and go to page 5,000. I mean, at this point, like it's the same storyline. Why are we?
What scares me about that, though, Caleb? You know what scares me though?
What?
Here's the problem. The only problem that I have with that, we are stagnant. But I agree with you.
Make some creativity
2 years ago,
though.
even last year.
Things.
But here's my problem. This year in particular, because of the way they're spreading the ball out to the wrong wide receivers and putting I'm so tired of this. I'm going to say this because I've been fucking preaching this for weeks now, that you have packages. If you look at the games that even the series that we march down the field and we score on, if you look at those series, there are certain guys that are in those packages that succeed every fucking time. And then you take it completely away and they're not even existent on the field. It makes no sense. You've known all year long that Jerick McKinnon has been your best red zone threat. They're just now getting him in the red zone. Today was the most red zone opportunity he's had since week 1. Well, all year. I'm sorry. Not even week 1. All season long. You cannot keep rotating wide receivers in and out, especially wide receivers that aren't adapt to playing more than 1 or 2 snaps or 3 snaps a game and expect all new guys and expect this team to run efficiently. It's not going to happen. This isn't the Chiefs that had Demarcus Robinson and all those guys, and people could say what the fuck they want about Demarcus Robinson. He knew our offense. And he was at least able to catch a fucking football, and he knew how to come back to the ball. And he also knew how, when Mahomes is in trouble, you fucking get open and sit down. These guys aren't doing that. They're not adapting to the simple calls. So how are they going to adapt to the more difficult ones that are on page 500?
Exactly, JP.
But here's
that's my problem.
Again, you have to figure out if it's not working on page 2, let's maybe shoot to page 15. We got to figure out some things to work out. But again, I see your point. Personnel, Brett Veach, that's where he comes to conversation.
He's got me mad.
I think it's Brett Veach, but at a certain point, it also comes down to these players because, like, Sky Moore needs to be able to. He needs to be able to make these fixes too. Like it's on all levels. It's on personnel. It's the personnel team. It's on the coaches and it's on the players. So like Sky Moore has been a disappointment up to this point. Kadarius Toney has been a disappointment. You know, he's been healthy and he hasn't been able to do much. I mean, they're so desperate to get him the football that they're using him out of the backfield, which is fine. But this was the guy that you talked about endlessly about being your number one wide receiver, and you literally said he was going to be a superstar of this league. And you're so desperate to get him the ball that you're putting him in the backfield and running him out of as a half.
I'm so fucking tired of that play. I could vomit. And you know what? Everybody was going, oh my God, Clyde showed 3 good plays today, and then he was fucking stumped every other time. Amir, I got a question. Is your cousin Justin? Answer me that. Because if he is, I'm going to shit. But anyway, because I love that kid. I just want to know, now that you said that. I agree with everything you're saying, but I'm so fucking frustrated with all of it when it comes down to who's your cousin? Who's your cousin you said plays for the Chiefs? Or there's a rookie for the Chiefs. Tell me who that is.
It's not Justin Ross. He's saying.
Yeah, I see that, but I wonder who his cousin is. He says it says like my cousin play on the Chiefs. Bro, he's a rookie and hasn't played yet. I want to know who his cousin is. We have opportunity. We have so many opportunities, and yet when they see that something is working, they change it. You can't do that in this offense. You can't, not with these guys. When Noah Gray's on the field, Justin Watson on the field, McKinnon's on the field. When those 3 guys are out there, along with Kelsey and along with Rashee Rice, everything fucking goes down the field like it's flawless. It almost never fails. Go back. I watch all 22 because I'm fucking bored out of my skull and pissed off. So I like to watch a lot of film. And that's what I do. And if you go back and you look at these plays from week 1 to now, the times that we're successful are the times when you see Noah Gray out there, you see Justin Watson out there, you see McKinnon out there, along with Travis Kelce and Rashee Rice. But yet, they rotate him out, and then we fall to shit. They put Sky Moore in that runs the wrong routes or drops a ball. And here's another thing. I'm going to say this again. Everybody that wants to bitch about one player or another, you can. But think about the guys that are actually making the fucking mistakes, because one weak link will fuck up the entire chain. It'll snap the chain. Sky Moore runs the wrong route. What happens is, I explained this last week and I'll do it again. And I actually talked to a guy on the Chiefs that said, damn, man, you hit the nail on the head. And I'm not trying to be right. I'm just trying to say this is how it works. If you got somebody that runs the wrong route and MVS, he's on his route. Just say it's MVS, and he's running his route the way he's supposed to. And then all of a sudden, because Sky Moore runs the wrong route, then Mahomes gets in trouble. If Mahomes is in trouble, somebody has to jump off their assignment to try to open up for him. And a lot of times that's not as it's easier said than done. Not everybody can do this shit, especially 1-year guys and 2-year guys. You can't expect them to be able to. This isn't Chris Conley, Albert Wilson, and Charkandrick West. These are guys that haven't been in the system long enough to understand how to be able to play with a guy like Mahomes. So if you're not putting the right people out on the field that can do that, that's on the fucking coaching. I'm sorry, but that's where it is. It's very fucking simple.
Okay.
And it's very, very annoying to me. And the defense, these poor guys are now getting Justin Reed injured, Williams injured, Watson injured. Everybody's fucking injured now. Cook injured. Nick Bolton's been injured for 2 months. What have I been saying all fucking year long? This is what it was going to lead up to. Is everybody getting hurt on defense, and then we're really going to be fucked. Today we were lucky. We were actually lucky to only give up 20 points because we lost. Damn, man, how many fucking safeties and corners are we going to end up losing? Or is somebody going to end up losing a leg out there because nobody's left? We had no Drew Tranquil today, injury, knee to the head. That's a little different. But everybody else is just fucking banged up. They're beat up and they're tired. And I will say this, This was the closest game out of every game we played this year as far as time and possession was concerned. When it came down to it, there was a 2-minute difference between time and possession for the offense and offense of the Chiefs and the offense of the Bills. At one point, it was 13 minutes to 15 minutes. Okay, that's good. That's great. That was the first half. Second half wasn't much different. The difference is that you had really shitty fucking calls from the refs, bad drops, bad play calls. We really shown how much we need Pacheco on this field today. And we've run him in the ground now because we're using him in different positions because we really don't have a backup that's capable of taking on the role that he has. The man plays 98% of the snaps because who are we going to put in? The guy, we do have one, but they don't use him. They'd rather make sure that the guy that they paid $2 million to this year is actually on the fucking field, which isn't that good. And that's Clyde.
I want to.
But you got freaking Prince sitting there. What's Prince doing? He's sitting there with his balls in his hand trying to figure out how he can get out on the fucking field. That's what he's doing. And he's better than Clyde. That's simple. This is a lot of this is coaching. Sorry, but it is. They're not putting the right people on the field to succeed. And this defense is going to get fed up with it. I think, in my opinion, as far as MVS is concerned, especially after who's he saying?
Crawford.
Oh, Crawford. I didn't know that. That's cool, bro. After the stupid-ass questioning from P.J. Green, the way he questioned it, which no journalist, if you've ever questioned or talked to a player, no one singles out a single player. If you're talking to a wide receiver, you ask that question as, what are the wide receivers going to do to fix these issues? Don't go, hey, man, what are you going to do to fix your issues? Well, I don't know what you're talking about. I understand MVS's frustration with that. But right now, he looks completely checked out. And I think he's checked out because he's fed up, not only with the line of questioning, but all of the rhetoric he's been getting. He did help us win a Super Bowl last year. I think people forget about that. He helped us win playoffs games last year when everybody was fucking injured. But in retrospect, he's had 2 drops all season. Has he missed a couple? Yes. He's had 2 drops. 2. Go back and look. 2 drops.
I want to end the show on a high note. So let's
Are you getting high right now?
Everybody, let's talk
happy
about something positive because there were a lot of positives out of this game. So everybody, we got one positive thing so we can end the show. Because as much as that game sucked, especially the ending, but I mean all of it really, there was some good on it. And I do think that the running backs played extremely well, both McKinnon and Clyde, because Clyde was a guy that had been shunned away by the organization and by Chiefs fans. And when he was given the ball, he had a couple of really good runs and he was able to help this team stay in front of the chains. So, and then McKinnon, he had a couple of moves out there. He was like breakdancing, dude. He was juking dudes out of their cleats. So both of those running backs deserve a lot of credit for what they did today because you lost your workhorse for a week and hopefully for just a week in Pacheco, and both of them came out and they filled his role pretty well, both out of the receiving game and the running game. So I want to give Clyde and McKinnon both credit for what they did today.
All right. JP, who you got?
I got Mahomes, and I'll tell you why. Because he finally just said, fuck you. And he went after the ref. I don't blame him. I don't blame him a bit. He played his heart out. He threw dimes that were dropped. He did everything. He always does everything he can possibly do to win a football game. No matter how you look at it, he played another phenomenal football game in a very shitty environment, ref-wise, and again, with bad play calls and guys that can't hold on to a football. So I'm going to give it to Mahomes. I was waiting for the day that he finally exploded, and I'm giving him props for doing it. That's my actual positive of this game, that Mahomes finally said what he had to say. And I don't blame him one bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
I gotta give mine to Rashee Rice. Stepped up in a big way. Only
Kid's a
receiver that
beast.
really showed up. He's gonna be a great guy that he's gonna have for years to come. So I have to give it to him, just what he's able to do week in, week out. So
Well, at least 4. The way Veach does things. They better they got to fix that problem. I'm sorry. I'm going to end this.
I have full confidence in this personnel
it'll be
team
fixed.
to go and fix it. I'm
talking about the turnover ratio part of it.
Oh,
he's got to stop doing that.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. She's got to open up Butterfingers.
Well, I agree with that, but he has also. We had this debate before, and now it's biting us. You cannot continue the wide receiver turnover and expect to be world champions every year or even close to it, because it's going to finally bite you in the ass, and that's what happened this year.
Hey, I mean, I guess Patrick Mahomes has to go to somebody else's stadium in the playoffs and show that he's boss.
That's fine. It'll be a
and he will.
You know what? I can live with that.
And he will. I have no doubt in that. He's going to go. If for some reason we still have an opportunity to get the 1 seed, we do. We're not out of that part of it, but we have to win out. A couple of teams have to lose, Miami and Baltimore, because we still have the better divisional record. But
the only one that has a huge advantage on us is Baltimore, because we have the tiebreaker over the Jags and the Dolphins. So that's the one that's really going to come out to top.
But what's their divisional record?
Over
their personal division record is going to will also play a big part in that.
I couldn't tell you that. I mean,
that's what was keeping us in it for all that time, was the fact that we only lost 1 game in our division versus I think them losing 2.
We just have the head-to-head of the other 2.
Yeah. So we have an opportunity right now to still get the 1 seed and the bye. I don't give a shit if we get it or not. I really don't. I would love to keep that Arrowhead Invitational going. But at this point, what really needs to happen is we need to prove to everyone, which I think we can, that we can win no matter what. We can come out and we can pull it out. The takeaway from all of this, Arrowhead News Report said it too. All these idiots that keep saying Chiefs get all the calls, keep talking all that shit. Because everybody in the real world knows that's not true. We don't get the calls. In fact, it's very close to just getting no calls. So I bet Carl Sheffers left the stadium today with some guards, and I don't blame him, because Mahomes was probably waiting in the parking lot for him before he did his press conference. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Mahomes do that. I mean, they were holding his ass back, and I don't blame him. I thought for sure he was going to pop the shit out of him. And he rightfully so. At some point, somebody has to say something. Somebody has to actually step up and say something. And Goodell needs to do something. It's that simple. He needs to quit being a cheap-ass bitch and pay these guys so they can either be fined or be held accountable for what they're doing. They're all fans of somebody, and definitely most of them aren't fans of us.
Yeah.
So, hey, Goodell, if you want to hire people from every other city that your refs are fans of, hire some from Kansas City. If you don't care about it, hire Kansas City born and raised people and have them be refs, because you're allowing it for every other fucking team. So why not do it for us? He said Andy is going to do something for sure. I hope so. Hey man, I hope so, because at this point it's gotten out of hand, and it's got to end. So, and Goodell, I actually tweeted him. I would love to interview him, and I would be nice and calm, but I would love to interview him and just get his take on what he thinks, and have all the stats in front of me as far as the missed calls on the Chiefs and the calls that were blatantly wrong, and see what he has to say about it versus every other football team. And I guarantee you, we're leading that charge by about 60%.
Yeah,
because you don't see that with every other team. So anyway,
I think we covered pretty much everything tonight.
That's
we'll
it.
Be back on Tuesday.
We'll prevail with cooler heads on Tuesday. So
I think my head was pretty cool.
well, you
Yeah.
kind of had a rant at the beginning, but that's okay.
That's true.
You gotta be. I mean, at some point, you just gotta blow up, and this was
Yeah.
whatever. I mean,
It'll
We'll,
work out in the end.
we'll get it figured out, and that'll be it. I mean, I don't know that. I will say this: I don't know that I've seen a worse year as far as how this team is. In the Mahomes era, there hasn't been a worse year of offensive performance. But I will say this: in some ways, if you really look at it, this is probably Mahomes' best year as a competitor, as a player, because he's had to endure all of this, and he's still doing what he does. He can't throw the ball and catch it too, but he's doing his best to make sure everybody else does catch the football. And for everybody out there that thinks Kelsey or Taylor Swift is killing Kelsey, I think he had, if they wouldn't have taken that touchdown away from, or that catch and touchdown from him and Tony, he would have went over 100 yards, because I think he was at 78 or 81 yards, something like that on the day. So you can't really ask much more from a tight end at 34 years old. It's that simple. He's a great player. He's still a great player. He's probably got a couple more years of great playing. So with that being said, we appreciate everybody for joining, and make sure you check out the PSF app. If you want to rant on there, you can do that live during the game. We're having fun doing that. And we will see you guys on Tuesday, I believe. Peace out, everybody. Oh, man. Everything. By the way, everybody, everything got moved on our screen, and I cannot find half of it. So that's what's taking a second. Goodbye.